What's up, guys? It's the Farooqi Bros, albeit just the two of us, back for another stream. And today, for you guys, we're going to be doing a quick one talking about three news across pop culture, things around DC, some stuff in the anime world, and a recent animated movie that is doing quite well at the box office based on the second weekend returns. So let's get right into it. I want to start on the DC side of things because there's been a lot of talk, controversy, confusion on if Gal Gadot is going to return as Wonder Woman. To give you guys a quick recap, if you're not caught up on the story so far, basically Gal Gadot, while doing press for Heart of Stone, I think the name is. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, it sucks. Let's search right now. Heart of Stone. Yeah, so Heart of Stone, the new Netflix movie. Pre-strike, Gadot did interviews with various press, and of course, she's going to be asked about if she's coming back as Wonder Woman. As we know, Wonder Woman 3 did get canceled by James Gunn and Peter Safran, and Patty Jenkins got removed from the directing chair. But we did not know what the status was of Gadot herself. So she's pretty publicly and adamantly has been saying that I am back as Wonder Woman. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in great hands. Gunn and Safran promised me, and like fully doubling down in a way that even Henry Cavill hasn't doubled down. But WB through the trades kind of made their return, their rebuttal to that through Variety, where they said no such conversation ever happened. James Gunn himself has been pretty quiet. So basically everyone in the fandom is confused and they don't know, is Gal Gadot coming back as Wonder Woman? And some people are discussing if she should return as Wonder Woman. And that's kind of where we'll be discussing. Will and should are two different things. But Samir, I'm going to talk about the should for you. Given that Superman Legacy is kind of doing a fresh start, do you want a universe where, David Corenswet Superman is hanging out with Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, or should this be a fresh start?
I don't think she should return because I don't think it would make any sense for a reboot to just recast Gal Gadot. But the thing about the DCU is that a lot of it isn't making any sense, and they seem like they're all over the place. The thing they should do is just drop her and restart like they were supposed to do. But James Gunn, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know who he wants to bring back, like his friends or whatever. I don't think he'll bring it back, and he shouldn't.
Yeah, so the people who are pro Gadot fans and pro Snyderverse cast fans are going to say, well, it's pretty obvious that we know Amanda Waller, Viola Davis is coming back as Amanda Waller. We know that John Cena is coming back as Peacemaker. We know certain things like that. Whether or not they're part of the universe or not, we don't know. But Amanda Waller, Viola Davis, Amanda Waller is pretty much a certain. And now that Margot Robbie just, got $1 billion in the box office with Barbie, and that's a Warner Brothers movie, it's hard to see why they would tell her, let go of the Harley Quinn role. I think if she wants to be Harley Quinn, WB is going to tell her to be Harley Quinn. So given that some people are going to stay, it sounds weird. Why would Gal not stay? But given that my opinion is the same as yours, but for a slightly different reason. My thought process is that any of the Justice League cast, so any of the people that Snyder himself cast, should not be used in this universe. I think it's too much confusion. I think a lot of these characterizations have already been dragged through the mud. Gal Gadot has appeared like several times now in Shazam and The Flash, and it's always the same, like music blaring, Hans Zimmer, just not that good. Like, it's played out. She's become a caricature of herself on screen. And if you're starting fresh with DC, I don't know why you'd want Gal Gadot to be there. Now, if James Gunn promised her like a Logan style Elseworlds, here's like your Wonder Woman 3, do a goodbye story with Wonder Woman, do what you got to do, we'll bring someone in and do it. I can see that happening. I don't think she doesn't not deserve a third movie where she kind of closes the arc, but I don't see how you envelop her into the new universe. I think it's a horrible idea, and if it does happen, I'm pretty like sour on it. But the reality is, based on what's being said, if you're reading the tea leaves, I think Gal Gadot was either lied to by DC or misinformed, because it seems like they are pretty much not bringing back the Justice League cast. Like, if you're in either of the Justice League movies or part of Zack Snyder's universes, you're not coming back. But it's interesting. Let's get in the comments. We see Key saying that James Gunn played the will they won't they game with casting. It has to be exhausting. I mean, it's exhausting because it's happened a few times now. Like Henry Cavill, unceremonious exit. Ben Affleck, James Gunn said Ben Affleck wants to direct something, but when they asked Ben Affleck himself during the press tour for Air, he was like, I'm never going to direct a movie for James Gunn. So, like, nobody's interested. The only person who's shown somewhat interest is Jason Momoa, and even that is to not play Aquaman, is to move film Lobo. So no one's really interested. Ezra Miller, I think if The Flash did well, there was a future for them. But other than that, I think it's over now based on how it did. Reed Fisher, we know it's impossible to bring him back, and now we're at Gal Gadot, and it's just like, it looks like this is the exit for her as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how DC goes, but I don't know. I think James Gunn should say something. You know, if you're a leader of the franchise, then go make a statement, put it out there. Let's see what happens. Or this can get ugly. This can get ugly and drag out the mud. I don't know how much was on Gal Gadot's contract, if she still had one more movie on her, or if it's been used up. But let's see how that plays out.
I mean, it's weird that they're not on the same page and making public statements. I mean, what if I don't know if they change their mind like midway through the public statements? It's like they should make a decision and just stick to it. And the reboot was the decision, so I don't know why they're trying to bring people back now. It's not making any sense.
Again, that's the problem with James Gunn and Peter Safran. Because like, what are they doing? Like, if you did change your mind, you should have. The first person you call is Gal Gadot's agent and be like, "We changed our mind. It's not happening anymore." But it seems like she's just under the impression that it's gonna happen one day, and she's gonna get promised a movie, and it looks like it's not happening. Side note: Air has to be one of my favorite films of the year. I'm still thinking about excellent that was. I agree that it's excellent, but I've been getting on Samir and Zian for not watching it after all this time. Samir, why haven't you seen Air yet? Tell me.
I saw some of it. I'll be honest, it didn't look all that great. It looked just okay. And I saw the one like Michael Jordan cameo scene or whatever, where they're
pretty good.
And they're like, oh, they want to add him in because he's like a myth or whatever. And I thought that was kind of goofy. I think they just
I'm a LeBron apologist, but even I thought that was pretty good. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really like that. I don't know what they're doing.
We'll see. In the end of the year, we'll be talking about our top 10 films of the year. I'm looking at my list right now, and I think Air might squeeze in that top 10, but we'll see.
Squeeze in
10. At 10, yeah, but it's in my top 10. So we'll see after the film festival circuit. We'll see if it still lasts in that top 10. Maybe it won't, but we'll see what happens. So let's move on from the Wonder Woman and DC side of things to the anime side of things, because Samir, I think you're gonna run this topic because your boy Luffy has unlocked Gear 5. The question is, this has been one of the most hype moments on social. Everyone's talking about it. It was trending like crazy leading up to the episode where they're going to adopt that manga chapter. And now I think we're 2 episodes in. Like, this is a new one, just came out yesterday or this morning, Japan time. I don't know how that works. But the question is, as someone who has jumped in, you've been grinding the show, you've been trying to get through it, see everything. Does this moment live up to the hype that kind of got you into the show in the first place?
I mean, I'm not caught up all the way, but I think the build up and the writing for Gear 5 is pretty good. I think a lot of people found it too goofy, too silly, but that's what One Piece is. It's like that's what it's been from the beginning, and it really fits well with the character and thematically what he represents. That's why I think the writing for Gear 5 is great. The Toon Forest kind of thing aspect of it, I think that's an interesting direction to go in, because it's pretty unique. I feel like a lot of the big anime like power up reveals, they don't go this way. They go overly serious, overly angry, and that doesn't fit well with Luffy's character. So the way Gear 5 is handled, I think it was incredible, and the animation has been too good this past 2 episodes.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was doing some research on who's animating this episode, and they got the who's who of animators, like some of the biggest animation supervisors, directors, people who've been supervising some of the greatest anime of all time came for this episode and pulled up. I think the main artistic director was responsible for some of the greatest moments in anime history. So that's a very big deal, and I think everyone took it seriously. Obviously, One Piece is part of the big 3. It's part of the ethos of what the foundations of what modern Western anime is built off of, like what we watch, and it's big, and of course overseas as well. But the second thing is like the debate, because everyone is now like, oh well, the Dragon Ball comparison, like well, this is Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan's better. Gear 5 is better. Well, what do you make of that debate? Like, do you take stock in that, or is it just like let the legends coexist?
Better. I don't know about better. I feel like I've heard a lot of what's more iconic, and I think Super Saiyan is just untouchable when it comes to how iconic it is. Um, Character design, I think Gear 5 is pretty peak character design. And in terms of what they represent, I feel like I don't know much about Dragon Ball that much. I feel like, well, what is the Super Saiyan? What does it represent? Like sheer power or
Yeah,
will? Or something?
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I lean towards Gear 5 on that one too, because just the aspect of freedom and liberation that they've uh, been hinting at, or they've been going through for like 1,000 episodes now. Even though the pacing is kind of whatever for One Piece, I think Gear 5 takes the cake for me. That's just me personally. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm now like I'm gonna talk from like a more general audience perspective because I've not, got on the One Piece bandwagon where I've watched all the episodes and done that. In fact, it kind of missed me. And they always say like when you're a kid, it's kind of like picking a starter Pokemon. Like either you picked Naruto or you picked One Piece or you picked Dragon Ball. Very rarely did you pick all three or 2 out of 3, and most people have their one starter Pokemon, one starter anime, and you go with it. So for me, my starter anime was Dragon Ball, and I just stuck by that the whole time. But I gotta admit, the hype, excuse me, the hype around Gear 5 is just something special. I think the animation's interesting. I think like I said, the theory of it, the way they wrote it, what it means, the mythological meaning of it, the drums of liberation, like everything is really cool, and it kind of spiked my interest in a way uniquely these last 2 months, and that's why I've been kind of deep diving into this topic, and I thought it's interesting to bring it up here because Super Saiyan, like you said, it has its own iconic feeling. Like the comment brings up, like Dragon Ball fans screaming at the top of their lungs, thinking they'll achieve Super Saiyan mode. And there's a great thread on Twitter, don't know who it's by, but they basically were pointing out that Super Saiyan and Gear 5 are like yin and yang of each other. One is pure rage, one is driven by anger and grief, and like Super Saiyan was unlocked by Goku losing his best friend after extreme like 20 episode long fight scene, thinking he won, and then the last second in complete exhaustion he watches his best friend from childhood blow up, Krillin, and that unlocks his rage and he goes into Super Saiyan, and it's like this iconic moment of like finding power where there was no power. Whereas like Luffy in Gear 5, it's a sense of like literally being on cloud nine, like fighting with complete relaxation and joy, and it's like it's really interesting. I think like fighting with anger versus fighting with joy, it's something that usually, like I said, shonen anime tropes are to fight with anger. You fight with anger, you fight for power, you fight for all of that. This feels like it's almost like a different side of that, and I think that was very interesting. Whether one is better and what's not better, I will also defer to Dragon Ball. Of course, that's 20 plus years of being iconic. We don't know if Gear 5 is going to be the next 20 years people be talking about it or not, but I do think it's a cool moment. That's why I wanted to take a few minutes out of the stream to discuss it, because I think it is pretty cool. I've been very hesitant about starting One Piece. Every time I talk to my students, they're insisting that I watch it. I mean, Samir, should they be watching One Piece?
One Piece is pretty good. I think it's peak world building, but also the worst pacing of any show I've watched.
I've heard people say that it's better to read One Piece than watch it. Like, I don't know if you've been reading any of it, but do you find the reading experience better on the manga side?
I have no idea.
No, some people say, "Oh, reading it's cleaner pace, it's going quicker." Like, I don't know, but I'm not a big manga reader myself. I'm mostly an anime watcher. If the people who are in the comments like, "Oh, I get angry at that," but hey, but yeah, Gear 5, interesting. So let's move from that from the Eastern animation, Japanese animation, to the Western side, because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This is the Seth Rogen led picture, the reboot of Ninja Turtles. And Ninja Turtles have had several reboots. Someone put up on social media the other day, like almost every single Ninja Turtles movie outside of the first one had like a below 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it really has failed to capture the hearts and mind of audiences. Some of the animated series have done quite well, but on the theatrical side, whether they do a live action version or a CGI version or an animated version, it hasn't quite like found its vibe. But Mutant Mayhem seems to be the opposite. This movie is doing quite well with audiences, critically and generally. Everyone's kind of enjoying it. I think it's very kid friendly. It has like that Spider-Verse animation slash Mitchell's versus the Machines, and this new style of animation where you really emphasize hand-drawn material and emphasize stylistic choices rather than the Pixar elements. So Ninja Turtles has come out, is doing quite well. I think it passed $100 million at the box office, which is good for an animated movie. The budget wasn't that high for it, so I think it did quite well. I'll go first and give my quick review, and Samir, I'm going to jump to you next. I gave this movie a 3.5 out of 5. I think it has a lot of the pieces working for it. I think the cast is funny. I think the voices are good. I think the dynamic between the four brothers is fresh. It's exciting. In line with who they are. I did think they took the most liberty with Mikey. Like he feels the most different to me from what I remember him as a child. But the rest of them, they all kind of stereotypically played who they are. I think I was okay with the idea of Splinter. Also, I kind of prefer the old school Splinter being this like ninja, like full on like guy. But here you had Jackie Chan playing him, which was an interesting voice, and I think they did a comedic route with it. That was all good. Some of my tropes with it, I think surprisingly it felt a little long, even though it wasn't a long movie, but it felt long. So I think that was one issue I had with it. I wish it was a little bit shorter. I think, and Samir, you'll probably touch on this, but I remember you talked to me about it before, but some of the over-reliance on pop culture references, I think, is a bit much. I could have toned it down a little bit. And then I think the main villain was, I guess, kind of predictable. Like it was interesting. But it's a kids movie, so I get it. But overall, 3.5 out of 5. Good movie, good for kids. It's not like some kind of masterpiece. It's not Spider-Verse, but it is a good movie. I think people are going to enjoy it. It's 3.5 out of 5. Good for family. I'm happy that it's doing well. And as a person who loves the Ninja Turtles, I'm happy that they're actually on the screen and people love them again. Because me personally, I'm a fan. I've been a fan ever since they crossed over with the Power Rangers in the 90s. So that's where I'm at with that movie. Samir, what did you think about Ninja Turtles? What was your thoughts on the movie?
I thought the movie was pretty fun, pretty enjoyable. I thought the characters were really good. The voice acting was great. I think that carried the movie. The sort of problem I have with the movie was that I feel like it was kind of lost on its sincere moments. I mean, they had some serious like themes that they could have dove into, but I feel like they stayed too much on the surface with their aspects about acceptance or family. I mean, they had some good moments, but by the end, I feel like they just brushed over it for the comedic aspect of it. I mean, I like the direction they took with the characters, but I feel like they kind of lost themselves while doing that, especially with the way they wrapped up April's story, like being on camera. She just did it, or they wrapped up the villains, the whole like villain family. They just gave one speech that wasn't all that good for me. But it's a kids movie, so it's whatever. I just feel like kids movies that have the same target audience have handled that stuff a lot better than this one. But since it is a kids movie, I feel like kids that are addicted to TikTok or something would really enjoy it. And
Yeah,
time.
That's a rare good point. I didn't think about that. This is made for the TikTok kid. Yeah, I didn't think about that point. It's every 2 seconds. It's happening quick. References are happening 1, 2, 3. It's happening. And you're like watching. You're like, this is a lot happening very quickly. And I'm like, okay, do I feel old? Maybe, but I'm going with it. I'm trying to see it through. And I agree. The character plots, character arcs are thin. Like all of the family members quickly became good guys. I was like, that's a quick turnaround. And then you're right. Like everyone just like, I wish they were a little sincere. Though I do like the classic. It's very Spider-Man, but I like the moment where all the New Yorkers band together. They always do that. Like it's a very it's a post 9/11 trope where it's like after that everyone loves to point out that New Yorkers will always band for each other no matter what. And as a New Yorker myself, I was like, yes, I'm down for that. I'm like good peak New York vibes. I think they didn't do New York quite well. Like they're talking about New York, talking about New York.
I mean, they're New York teenagers. They're New Yorkers,
Yeah, I think they explained that pretty well. So I think they got to the heart of it. I do think it's a guaranteed sequel coming. Like there's no doubt about it. If this movie flopped, maybe not, but it's not flopping. They can make another one for not that much money. So I think this is a good foundation because it was lighthearted, it was fun. You know who the Turtles are now. But if they go crazy with the next movie and they make Shredder like brutal and it's dark, and they kind of go with a different direction. I think the second film could be the one where we're like, all right, they found themselves, like they found their voice. But it's pretty good. Bro loves the scene where they're talking about New York slang. Yeah, I mean, come on. And you know what they say? Like, if you're from New York, you always would tell everyone from you're in New York. Like any other person, they're gonna talk about their country. Like you're like, I'm from the UK, I'm from France, I'm from Italy. You know, but if you're from New York, you never say I'm from America. You say I'm from New York. You know, like so. That's just how it is. You know. Samir, do you say you're from Ottawa, or you say from Canada?
I don't say I'm from. I don't tell anyone I'm from
Ottawa. So, but we always have to say, like, it's like almost like you start as a foundational piece, like, oh, I'm from New York, and then here's the rest. You know, like, but that's. I think this movie did a good job, like emphasizing that and emphasizing the turtles. I thought it was fine, but nothing special, but good. Okay, what score did you give in the end?
I give it a 3 out of 5.
3. So yeah, it's a little less than me, but in the same world. I'll just give Anazana here, but he pretty much agreed with you more than me. I think he ended up at a 3.5 or 3. I said 4. I don't remember anymore, but I'm gonna put him at a 3.5 based on what I remember. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other business? I don't think there's any other business. I don't think any other topics. I think we're good. What do you guys think about Wonder Woman? Would you think Gal Gadot will return as a character in James Gunn's DCU? If you're into anime, what do you guys think about Luffy getting Gear 5 and One Piece in general? And then finally, what did you think about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem? Let us know in the comments below and join the debate. From myself and from Samir, we're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.